coming up, I have to like, I'm getting ready and I'm doing that whole thing. But I never, I guess I never was like really enthusiastic about it. But I think this year, because everything is kind of like, it's not really going to happen, it's kind of allowed me to just be like, meh, Halloween. I can eat candy and not feel that weird about it.
You wear a costume?
Yeah, well, I'll wear a costume at home, obviously, for myself, but I don't have like Zoom like meetings, which I feel like is what people are gonna do, right? Like if you
Just
have a
dress
work
up on,
meeting,
yeah.
just like put a Wolverine mask on or something like that. I don't know. I
Go to sleep, yeah.
yeah, go to sleep. Well, there, you know that there's a Lewis Black bit about Halloween that I feel like perfectly encapsulates my thoughts on Halloween, which is like, as adults, you have the ability to dress up whenever you want. So as like an adult, to be like, oh, I have to dress up for Halloween is kind of weird because it's like you have the ability to do that whenever you want. You don't
Hmm.
necessarily just have to wait for October 31st, right? It's just weird, yeah. Because I could dress up as Batman today if I
You
wanted.
should. Why don't you?
I don't have his
Just
costume.
around the house? Oh, you don't have the yeah, that's a good reason then.
I mean, I went to like a strip mall. I went to like a sporting goods store to buy like a basketball, and they have like the Halloween stores that pop up. You know, the
Hmm.
seasonal Halloween
The spirit
stores.
Halloween, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like the stores that I grew up around, which is like those kind of like it's really just here for the month of October and then it's gone.
Hmm.
Uh, but moving to New York City, have you ever been to the costume shop in Manhattan, like downtown?
The East Village one, yeah.
Yeah, that is now that's a very unique place because it's year
Yeah.
round, and it obviously Halloween is when a lot of people will go there, but they're so about that life. They're like, we do this all year. Dress up,
Hmm.
whatever you want, Mark. You want to dress up like Harley Quinn in June? You can go there and get Harley Quinn,
How many that's
daddy's
how
little
many
girl, or whatever their shirt says.
yeah, I don't know what the shirt says, but it's probably not that.
Is it say daddy's little girl or daddy's little monster or something like that?
I don't know.
Uh,
I don't think I've ever bought a costume at like a one of those stores. Like a couple years I had masks that I bought at stores like that, but for the
right.
most part we made our own costumes out of like stuff that we had around the house or like bought. Like we didn't just like do a like meatloaf where you scrape that's not a meatloaf, but you know what I mean, where you just compile everything that you have. No, we would like buy cheap, like whatever the
Right.
costume was. You go to like Marshalls or something and look for, like maybe a vest you needed for the costume or something like that.
Exactly. Like if you wanted to be Raphael from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you might get like the little mask, but then you might
Hmm.
find just like a onesie that's like green and be like, "Oh, I'm the turtle," and that
And
would
then
be
we
like,
would probably, in my house, we would probably build the shell out of like some sort of styrofoam or maybe cardboard.
wow. So you
Yeah.
would actually construct something. You wouldn't just pull pieces of clothes together and be like, I'm Team Wolf.
Oh no, we would often make things like that. My father also knew how to do makeup because in college he did a little for like the theater. He
Wow.
did like stage makeup for the theater.
That's see like were you ever like the same costume multiple years in a row?
Mm,
Because
no,
that
I
like
don't think
for
so.
in our family like we I think we bought like a Power Ranger costume when I was maybe like 6 or 7, and then for the next 3 years I think I was that Power Ranger costume until it was like, oh, you're too big to wear this. We have to buy you a different costume. Um, because I guess like we would go trick or treating like me and my brother, my family, but um, I don't know the costume. I guess it was part of it, but I didn't really give a shit about the costume. I was just like, whatever's gonna allow me to go door to door to get candy,
Hmm.
I'll do whatever. So I feel like I think I probably did like argue and be like, I want a different costume, and they're just like, well, you're the Red Power Ranger again. What do you want? and then just kind of be like persuaded enough to get me out the door so that I could just get candy. And then after that, I didn't really care. I was just like eating stuff in my face with candy.
Right. I think the first, like when I was a little kid, it didn't matter to me. It was just like, oh, you get candy. So I think then
Yeah.
actually I was a cat several years in a row, which was just
Yeah.
like the ears and then the tail that clips on, and then like black on the nose and whisker, like
Yeah.
lines as
Simple.
whiskers. Yeah. And
'Cause
now if I were to go to a costume party, I probably would wear that. Probably would wear.
I well, there's a whole like dichotomy with adult costumes because you obviously have like the people who really, who, for example, like your dad, like the makeup, they will have somebody come to their place or whatever, and they'll do like some wild makeup, or they'll have some like special effects, and they'll like go out as like the Thing from Fantastic Four or something, and just
Hmm.
like Jesus, that's very elaborate. It's very like thing, but that's like your whole night basically, right? Is
Yeah.
the costume. You can't. Can you really have fun when you got that much shit on your face?
Well, I think one of the best costumes that I saw was last year, because I usually get angry about like when you're on the train and like
Oh,
everybody's
the
in
worst.
costume. I usually get angry. But there was this guy who was dressed, it was him and his girlfriend or a female friend, and he was dressed as the kid from Up, and he looked perfect, and she was dressed as the old man from Up, so it was a couple's costume.
Wow.
uh, like the makeup looked great and the costumes looked great, but so that kid has like all, he has like pots and pans and stuff on his
Yeah.
backpack, I guess. So this guy had all that stuff, and he had like balloons that were tied to his backpack, so everybody who got on the train was kind of like knocking the balloons, but it was so like well done that like you couldn't be mad. And he was like he was like, I'm sorry, it's the and everybody's
Oh,
like,
I
no,
would
it's
be
okay,
mad.
it looks great. Yeah. So that's a
Well,
good costume, is when people don't
yeah.
get mad at you for, you know. But when
Well,
you see your fourth Harley Quinn that's
yeah.
like drunk and stumbling, then you're like, okay, Halloween, New
Yeah,
York City Halloween, not the most fun.
for sure. I think like if you have to commute while you're in a costume and it's on a train, like that's rough. Because,
Hmm.
like you said, like if you have accessories along with your costume, then you're just like, yeah, you're just, because there are people who are just genuinely like, I just have to go to work. I can't dress up because my job, doesn't really allow me to like um, paint my face and like have like a big like broadsword like Lord
I
of the
don't
Rings
have one of those
character.
jobs that lets me bring weapons and do drastic makeup.
But I feel like, yeah, there are still those people who are just like just going to work and they just have
Oh,
to like,
sure, like the like Wall Street folks, like yeah,
yeah, and they have to rub up
or
against
corporate, I guess.
you know Black Panther or something like that.
Hmm.
It's it is kind of interesting. I think like as I've gotten older and have been maybe invited to Halloween parties or just kind of like do a costume, the simpler I think the better. Because if it is like a party, the last thing I want to do is like, oh, where is my like Indiana Jones hat and whip? I left it somewhere. I just placed it somewhere. I'd rather it just be like, all right, I'm like last year I went as uh what was it? Beverly Hills Raw, a mashup of Beverly Hills Cop and Eddie Murphy from Raw, and
But
it
how
was just
many
easy.
people did you have to explain it to?
Oh, everybody, they're just like that's a cool jacket. I was just like, oh,
Because you
thanks.
told
Like,
me, like you just told me what it is, what it's a combination of.
yeah,
I still don't get it.
that's fine. Because all it took was me wearing a pair of jeans, sneakers, and a leather jacket, and that was my costume. And
Hmm.
like, I think that is the like bullshit way to do a costume for a party that allows you to still enjoy a party without necessarily having to like have this whole like accoutrement with it too, where it's just like, yeah, it's nice if you can dress up as like the Tiger King and everybody knows who you are, but then it's also like, who gives a shit?
I remember going to a party when I was in high school, and I felt like a jerk because I was dressed up. Everybody was dressed up, but I felt like a jerk because of like the amount that I was dressed up for.
Yes.
I was Angus Young from AC/DC. So I had, and I like
Yeah.
spent time making this whole outfit and stuff. And then it's like, oh, I'm in this outfit all night and I kind of don't want to be. I wish I was maybe in something a little bit cooler,
Right.
or like, because I'm talking to people and it's like, yeah.
You're not doing the voice as well, right? You're just talking as
No, it's a
Mark.
costume. It's not a.
No, but some people do like,
I'm not
I
Daniel Day-Lewis.
yeah, I
What
was
do you
gonna
think
say
he does on Halloween?
he's probably yeah, that is a
Cobbles
good
up some
question.
shoes and he's
He,
call me Lincoln.
yeah, call me. He, I think he goes as Daniel Day-Lewis. It's the only day that he's allowed to be himself.
Mhm.
Because who is he
We should make
really?
Daniel Day-Lewis Day.
Oh,
Lewis.
love that day. Um, no, I think you're 100% right, and I think well, growing up for me, like Halloween was almost always like very cold outside and like snow more often than not on the ground. So that was like also a combination of like, all right, can I wear a costume and also like have like a coat and snow pants on? Because I can't be outside in, my like Daisy Dukes or whatever and be able to like walk around because it's too cold. You have to like incorporate your coat and your snow pants and boots into your costume, or else it's like you're not going to be able to go outside. It's too cold.
Right.
But I think in New York, like I've definitely seen it where it's been cold and cold enough where you need a jacket and maybe some gloves and a hat, and there are people who are like, do the sexy costume or whatever, and they're not wearing a coat and I'm just like, oof, they're in for a long night.
Mm-hmm.
What's the male version of a sexy costume? Because there's always the sexy nurse and the sexy witch and all of that. What is
Mm. Well,
for
a
the
male.
boys?
I feel like the guys that I've seen in those sorts of costumes, like you have to be fit already. Like the sexy costumes for women are just like sexy costumes.
Right.
Like anybody can wear them, but for a male,
Short
it's always
skirts
like
and yeah.
a shirt. Yeah, but for a male, it's always like a shirtless Aladdin or something like that, like an open vested sort of thing
Oh
like
yeah.
that.
Like the character itself has to be sexy, kind of.
Well, the person it has
Well,
to be
yeah, like,
sexy. The man has to be sexy.
but like in the Aladdin case, like Aladdin's just wearing like an open vest, so
Hmm.
like, Aladdin's pretty sexy, so you have to like be able to pull off Aladdin, basically.
Right. Yes.
Um, yeah, I think you're right. Like, unless you go as like Chris Farley, like during the Chippendale sketch, and that's like your thing. Joe
And
costumes
also,
are
but like, why would you do that?
well, Joe costumes. That's a whole other subset of Halloween. Is like, it's like a dumb joke or a pun, and it's just like, oh
Yes.
yeah, I see. You're an outlet. You're a plug you in. Gotcha. All right.
I don't think I ever did that. Yeah, those costumes. I feel like the men who would wear like the sexy costumes, because it's a specific type of person. It's like sort of a frat person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like stereotyping, but that's what it is. But those are the guys who would buy like the joke costumes.
Right.
That's like Boner Doctor, and then his
Oh, do you
or
remember
something. I don't know.
Dick in the Box? That was a very big costume. I remember right after that sketch, that
Oh yeah,
SNL sketch, Dick in the Box. I feel like that's definitely like a Halloween party, not a Halloween work event type costume. I don't think you could go to
yeah.
work with a Dick in the Box costume. I'm sure some people found that out the hard way. Of
Oh
like,
yeah,
oh
of course.
yeah, you can't just come into work with your Dick in the Box costume. No, I costumes are I like I think probably the best one I've done is like uh as far as like not elaborate but like more accessories is like a hockey goon. Like I had like my hockey helmet and then I like painted like a black eye and then I had like a jersey and I think I might have had my gloves, my hockey gloves. But that's like simple. It was cold, so I kind of already like I could dress for the weather and be okay and not feel like, oh, I'm gonna be too hot or too cold. And immediately people are just like, oh yeah, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's a fine costume. It's just like I don't think you need to try all that hard. Yeah, the people who like it guess who I am.
Guess,
It's
or
like,
just like, no,
yeah.
I don't want to, and just like, no, guess. I bet you can figure it out. And it's just like, I don't
And it's
know.
like,
It's like,
I'm this thing. And then you're like, what do they expect from you? So you're like, oh, okay.
I, I will say that like Halloween is a time when you dress up. It is something that allows you to really um, understand who this person is based on their costume. Like, someone who does like a dumb, like sexy outfit or whatever, you might be able to assume certain things about them, or just like, all right, maybe not the most creative. They're just kind of going for a certain look or a certain like kind of reaction. And then
Mhm.
the more like intricate the costumes get, you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't know you were, I didn't know you
Well,
were like
that's
that.
when we started like in our doing like UCB. You meet all those like theater kids who came up
Yes.
doing, and they all like go all out. A
Oh
lot of
man,
them
what is it with
for
people?
also for like shows also like
Yeah.
bit show sketch shows. People will be like, oh my god, you rigged up a device so that your character could pee its pants, and it's like a practic like a special effects level
Right.
job that they did to make this happen for three people that would be watching it.
I'm just I truly am like amazed by people like that because I don't understand that much, that high level of like extrovertedness where it's like, damn, like you have this whole costume down. You have like you're doing an accent. You're walk, like if you have to change your walk in order to like embody a costume for Halloween, you're doing too much. Like
Does
it's too
anybody do
much.
that? I don't think I've seen anybody do that
Oh
though.
yeah, people do wild shit. It's Halloween,
I
baby.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody at a party where they've like done a character. Like they could be dressed as one, but then they talk as themselves.
I don't think you've gone to enough Halloween parties where theater people are there because
Right.
it's their
I've
Super
never
Bowl.
been to Josh Gad's.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
Does he is he being in the theater?
I know. Oh, I know. Like Neil Patrick Harris does one every
Yeah.
year,
Well,
like a big old Halloween party.
yeah, I feel like famous people they do really elaborate costumes too. They get like they hire special effects people, makeup people to do.
I want
They're
this
like,
costume, and then it's on their doorstep.
yeah, it's just like all right. It like I said at the beginning, it's all about the candy for me. At this stage of my life, I just want candy. If I had to, if I was forced to go out and trick or treat as an adult, I would just do something that would allow me to get the most candy. You get your
Hmm.
pillowcase, fill it with candy, and then, just hang out.
You should go out this year, and then just say like, I'm going out because my kid.
Because my kid, I haven't seen my kid.
What? Well,
Can you give me some candy so when I find it I can give it to him? And they're like, what?
well, so like, what I mean is like, it's not safe out because of the pandemic. So it's like you're going out to trick or treat for your kid. You're getting that candy for your kid. That's your
Right.
excuse.
Yeah, that's true. It's not safe out also because it's Halloween and there are ghosts out there.
Oh, wow. Oh, and those ghosts stop abruptly also.
Yeah, they're just and then well, yeah, they're just floating by you. You don't even know what's happening.
Right.
It's just part of the season, you know. Ghosts come
Hmm.
out, spooky elements are around.
Yes.
Have you ever had anything actually scary happen to you on Halloween? Like
Well, I've walked by.
you've walked by.
I've walked down the street and have been startled by what I thought was a man sitting on a stoop, but it was a scarecrow
Oh.
with a pumpkin head.
Oh, it
Yeah.
didn't move. It was just there.
Nope. Just so that
You're just startled by an
I
inanimate
was like
object.
a chihuahua. I was like, oh my god.
Because that is one thing I definitely did not like when I was a kid, is that you have some, and I'm just gonna say it, fucked in the head people who are like, oh, kids are gonna come trick or treat. I'm gonna sit in this like contraption, and then when
Hmm.
kids come in and it's got a bowl where it's like take one, and they take a piece of candy, I'm gonna like move or stand up and scare 'em. I That shit is not cool.
Yes. I remember that when I was very young. When I was like a kid, people would do that stuff. And I think somewhere along the line, they stopped doing it.
Yeah, because people probably would like, because oftentimes, at least when I was young, like if you're going with a group of kids and maybe your parents, or
Hmm.
like a couple of parents, the parents would kind of stay at the sidewalk or whatever, and then you would walk up to the front door as like you and a group of kids grab the candy and then come back to them, and then you go to the next house. And
Yeah.
I feel like you could scare kids in that way if they're by themselves, which of a certain age they might be. But if they're younger, a lot of them, their parents are going to be there, and a lot of parents, I think, especially nowadays, won't fuck around with that kind of stuff. Where it's just
Oh,
like,
no.
I'm going to scare the shit out of your kid, and you, as an adult person who is not in a costume, you're in like your Carhartt jacket, and you're just like, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. You scared my kid. Just like yeah, that stuff. I always hated that, and I never. I like there were certain houses where it's just like you could kind of sense it's a setup. Like, all right, it's kind of dark, and it's not really like there's not someone like there like smiling and handing out candy. You just are kind of going to it, and it's just like, yeah, I don't want that.
Hmm.
It's just like,
Yeah.
oh,
I'm not a big fan of anything scary. People, I don't like when people are like, let's go to a haunted house. Like,
no.
I don't want to. It's not fun to be scared. It's scary to be scared, you jerk. Say, like, same thing as movies, like going to see a horror movie. You
Yeah.
know, it's just like, I don't want to be scared.
So there's
If I wanted to be scared, I'd walk down a street where there's scarecrows on the stoop.
yeah, holding a pumpkin, and you'd be terrified by them. It was I think it was a couple years ago. They might still do it, but in Philly there is a prison that is like abandoned that they converted into like a haunted prison. And I remember hearing people talk about that and just being like, why? Because you have to pay to go into it. Why would you pay for that
Hmm.
experience? And like a lot of those places now, it's basically like you have to sign a waiver or a liability form, kind of like, hey, so we won't touch you, but we're going to scare the shit out of you. There's going to be really loud noises. Just want to make sure you're okay with that. And then you're just like, all right. And then you walk in, it's pitch black. And
Oh,
then
I hate that.
and then it's just like, yeah, I that shit will definitely give me a heart attack. Like I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person, but I feel like,
You come out and your hair is just white,
yeah, like hard
just
drugs,
from shock.
like doing meth or cocaine or a haunted house, those are the things that would give me a heart attack and kill me for sure.
Hmm.
Just like something that I'm just not, my body is just not prepared for, because
Yeah.
you don't want to go in and then get, have a little laugh, and then you're just like, what's going on? And then before you
Hmm.
know it, there are bats everywhere.
Bats don't bother me though. The diseases they carry bother me.
Yeah, well, I mean, to talk about it, talk about diseases. Have you seen a bat like in the wild?
Yeah. Yes.
No, I don't. I mean, they're not common depending on where you live. Like I didn't see a lot of them growing up. In like I don't think in North Dakota there was a lot of bats. Maybe in certain areas they might have been, but I didn't see it until I came to the East Coast.
Well, they come out at night. They're
I
not
mean,
like daytime. They're not hanging out with the birds.
well, yeah, but you can still hear them, you know, if you go
Hmm.
spelunking in a cave.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I feel like I would be scared of bats because how many times are you just going to see one bat? It's probably pretty rare. You're going to see a
I
lot of
don't know. I'm
bats.
kind of scared of birds. One flew near my head the other day.
Scared of birds?
I'm just scared by well, because they're unpredictable. You know, like a pigeon is unpredictable.
I mean, what do you mean? They're an animal. Like, I don't think
Yeah,
anything is really predictable about an animal.
a squirrel, you know, is gonna run away as soon as you get near it, right?
Not necessarily. There's those weird ones in Washington Square Park that will climb up to you because they think you got food.
Mm. Well, that's the old men's fault
Yeah, that's true. Who are just
feed
throwing.
who buy a loaf of Wonder Bread and
They're literally just throwing sliced loaves of sliced bread on the ground, and then it's just like surrounded by squirrels and pigeons. That terrified me about Home Alone. Pigeon Lady.
I don't know. I'm sorry.
Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
I've
He
only seen
gets
the first one.
Oh, Mark, do yourself a favor. Get yourself a large pizza pie. Get ready for the cameo from Donald Trump. And
Hmm.
yeah, it's a scene where he's basically in Central Park at night, and then he sees like this lady who's covered in pigeons, and she scares him.
Yeah.
Rightfully so, because she is scary. But then later, you realize that she's nice, and don't judge someone
So
on
it's
their
the
appearance.
exact same thing as the first movie with the old man across the street, right? Or not
Yeah,
across the street,
basically.
but wherever he is. Yeah.
Yeah, there's some element that as a kid you're like, oh, that's terrifying, but as an adult you'd kind of be like, I don't, yeah, okay. She laughs like that.
Mm. Mm. Okay.
What do you think is scarier, this or this?
A black man with a funny name.
I found an Obama soundboard, and it's the greatest thing ever.
I'm Barack Obama.
If you've got health insurance, you can keep it.
I drank beer heavily and tried drugs enthusiastically.
Oh my God. Now that's scary, okay? You want to talk about real fear, folks? Let's talk about, um, you know, progressive candidates who become moderates, huh? Let's talk about that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Simpler times,
But,
we could say.
oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I miss the days when you didn't have to think about the president every single day. Like, I hope we go back to that where it's like there like Obama gave what, like one address to the public, maybe like a week, like a 5 minute whatever.
Yeah, he used to do videos, I remember on YouTube, because I remember it was something that was kind of like, whoa, it was YouTube or whatever, but
Oh, Barack uses YouTube.
he uses YouTube. He's really with it, you know? He's
Yeah.
really a cool cat, other things that
Let's
they
see
would say
his
about black
let's
guys.
see his March Madness bracket. Is
Yeah, exactly.
that let's
Yeah, but he would do like a short video, and I think he would like highlight certain things that they've done for the week, or maybe he'd answer a question, that kind of stuff, like really basic, but not like drunk
every
tweeting at
single
6 in the
day.
morning, you
Yeah.
know. Um, but I was thinking about this the other day because Trump did like an interview with 60 Minutes, and that he walked out on. It was like a big news story, and then he
Oh
released
right.
his own footage. But I think like I don't know if he does it on purpose, but there's things that he says like in a way that I'm like, is Trump the funniest president we've ever had? He's
I think he
definitely
thinks he is. Yeah.
yeah, I think he definitely tells more jokes than I think most presidents probably should tell jokes. Like I don't think
Hmm.
it's of the nature of the job to be like kidding around as much as he kids around like your friend's dad who's just like, hey, like driving you to soccer practice or something. You're like, all right, I get it. You're
You know,
trying to
when you're
like be
famous,
cool
they
with
let
this.
you do anything.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what he says. Uh,
Yeah, he's
no, I know what
he's
you mean, but like he like Obama, for the dinners and stuff like that, they would write jokes for him,
right.
obviously.
He has good
But
delivery. I think
yes,
Obama
yeah,
has
of
probably the
course.
best delivery for
But I don't
jokes.
think Trump could do that. If somebody wrote jokes for Trump, he wouldn't be able
No,
to do that.
100%. I think Trump is like a really great crowd work comedian who's like
No, I think he's
off.
garbage. I think it's the crowd. I think it's the crowd that's also garbage, but they're the ones who think that everything he says is funny. It's like
Yeah.
if you went to an open mic and that was all the worst comic went on stage, and he got laughs because all his friends were in the audience.
But I love that. I love a bad comedian in that way, and because I think there's something funnier about that than someone who has like is somebody who's executing something very precisely in a way that doesn't make me laugh as someone who is just rambling and just kind of like all of like the actual content of what he's saying is insane and racist and terrible, but like the cadence of it is there's something about it that's just like, why is this hitting me in that way? It's weird. Whereas like when you hear like Joe Biden or Kamala Harris tell a joke or like try to be funny, it's like, I mean, they're forcing it in a way that I think like, you know, someone who doesn't have that bone in their body would try to force it, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think like Obama, like you said, like I think he's just personable and has like this charm that just allows it is a little disarming that allows you to kind of like he'll say something and be like, oh, that's funny, or he has a sense. It's kind of like when you see like athletes who are funny. It's just like, yeah, they're funny for an athlete, but they're not like funny. Like Timberlake, like is Justin Timberlake funny, or is he like funny for being a great singer and like musician?
I think he could definitely do comedy, but yeah, I don't know if he's like making jokes
Well,
when he's just like out to dinner or something like that.
there's something about that I kind of relate a little bit to like SNL, where I feel like there are transformative like people on SNL where like this person is funny, and then there are people who are like this person can perform comedy really well, and the difference of that is like the difference between like a Will Ferrell and like somebody else who's like has that kind of like rhythm or formula down because it's kind of like a skill. But like Alec Baldwin, is he funny? No, but he can perform it very well. You know,
Yeah.
like Jim Carrey's funny. He's not funny on SNL, but he's a funny person.
You know, I looked up. I watched the show and I like the show for the most part, but they have 20 cast members
Yeah, it's
plus the three, like I guess you would call them featured guests or something.
the celebs like Maya
Yeah.
Rudolph. Yeah, because yeah, that is it is kind of mind-boggling. It's really not worth getting into that much because it's just like it is. It's more than just like a comedy show. It's like, oh, we stand for this, we stand for that, and it's like whatever. But
But the number is just baffling. 20 people.
Yeah, you're right.
Like the cast has always been like, I think 12 or at most 14 or something like that.
But I think that's why, if you look at it categorically, if you look at the casts for every season, and you look at maybe popular performers versus not popular performers or whatever, and then you look at their life after SNL, all of their career trajectories or their talent speaks to like, or all of their careers speak to the talent that they don't or aren't able to showcase on SNL. Because especially now, where it's like, obviously somebody could be playing Donald Trump that isn't Alec Baldwin. God help us, please. That would be great. And same with Joe Biden and same with Kamala Harris. And they have often made casting choices and hired people to fit those roles where it's like, oh, this person is very talented impersonator. Maybe we'll have them, like Jay Farrow, we'll have him play Obama, even though they had Fran Armisen do it for years, whereas it's like, okay. So there's those kind of things where I'm just like, it doesn't feel like they care about that aspect of it as much as like we want to get Jim Carrey because he's famous and funny, but like his characterization of Joe Biden is like not funny. It's just like, yeah, it's an old guy. What do you want me to say?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't like look anything like. I don't know.
What can you do? If we just only had, someone with strength and timing, someone like,
I'm Barack Obama.
then we could truly, get back to some good times.
Yeah, they should have just had him play himself all those
Exactly.
years.
Well, yeah, well, it was the whole thing with like Key and Peele. It's just like, yeah, Key and Peele was so great because they were able to just hone in on things that they were good at, and it's not like they had someone else do those things. They're like, oh, we're just going to do sketches about people that we can do, basically.
Right.
They're not bringing in ringers to be like, oh, just come in and do this for us.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Give me
I
the
think
answers,
it's-
Mark.
I think it's it's an alienating conversation, but I think it's like this. It's a transition period for that show.
For sure. Definitely.
Like within the next 2 years, we'll see like what they're doing.
Well, you know what? It is also a transitional time for America as well. So we will also be figuring out what we're
That's
going to
true.
be doing.
And America's sketch shows always reflect what's going on in the country at the time.
I mean, yeah, you think of like when the best comedy exists is usually probably around times of tribulation, right? People really loved The Daily Show because they were popular around the time when Bush like had started,
Yeah.
being Bush.
I think that's when it fell into what it was.
Yeah.
What it became.
Great comics feed off of that. Great writing, you name it.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about, Mark. That's what it's all about.
Hey, you don't gotta tell me, sister. I know.
Well, yeah, I have this lovely soundboard, and there's so many fun things about sound effects, obviously, but I just want to open this door real quick. Oh no, what's that? Psycho, which I've
Yeah.
never seen.
Oh, well, it's a movie. I
It's a
don't
scary
know.
movie.
That's not scary. I mean, it's a fine movie. I don't know.
I think I'll pass.
Yeah, I'm not offended by that. There's no movie that I'm like, I can't believe you haven't seen that.
Yeah.
You got to see that. Because I'm someone who hasn't seen a lot of movies.
Yeah, it would be weird if you were like, I can't believe you haven't seen it, but you haven't also seen it.
Right. As I can't
Yeah.
believe you haven't seen The Godfather. We talked about this. You have,
Yeah.
and I haven't, and I don't know what it's about.
Yeah. I think
Well, I know what it's. I tried. Yeah.
you know what it's about. I think there are definitely some people that their lives are like based around some sort of cultural event, and those are the people who definitely get offended if you haven't seen a Star Wars or a
Right.
Marvel movie or whatever. And yeah, those people are children, they're immature, they don't really understand the world as we live in, because most of that stuff is trivial.
Yeah.
And if you like it, great, but if you don't, also, it's not the end of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to like the same movies as someone. Are you talking about like relationships where you're like,
Well, I
he's
think-
got to like this or she's got to like this?
Yeah,
It's
that
my
is extra,
test.
that's extra dumb. I think there are general, like we were talking about before, if, for example, Mark, you and I were going to go on a date and you were really into horror movies, like so much so that you worked at the Halloween store and I didn't like Halloween or scary stuff, I would say that match probably wouldn't work very well. But if you're
What
just
if I
like,
brought you? Sorry to interrupt, but
No,
just
yeah.
let me make a case for myself.
of course,
Okay, hear me out. So I like Halloween. I work at. What if I brought you like a little magic trick?
a magic
Are
trick?
the cop sirens part of your soundboard? By the
No,
way?
they're not. They're just my neighborhood.
Is that scary?
That's real fear.
If I brought you like one of those like a little magic trick, yeah.
I,
that
well,
they have at
I,
those stores.
magic isn't scary, so
I know,
think
but
be
they have
okay.
it at a Halloween store, and it's Halloween adjacent, so you could be like, "Do you respect what I do? Here's, let me show you how to put a cigarette through a dollar bill or something."
I think it would be the context. If you're just like come to my work I want to show you something, I'd probably be a little weirded out. But if you were like, hey, there's a cool magic thing here, I want to show you, I would have like better context for it. Maybe that's a little too like logical for it, but yeah, I, I think a lot of those things are, you do case by case basis. Some people that would be a red flag. Other people it's like, all systems go. Let's
Yeah.
let I'll be the Joker, you be Harley Quinn. Let's do the damn thing,
Yeah.
But not for me. I don't like getting scared. What I do like is Thanksgiving, and no, I don't like Thanksgiving.
Did you just lie?
Yeah, I lied. I don't like Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving sucks.
Yeah. I like the food. And let me tell you, it's my favorite holiday because you get to eat all the food.
Yeah, again,
It's
it's the same thing that Lewis Black said. You can eat food whenever you can have turkey whenever you want. You don't have to have turkey just on Thanksgiving, but it's a celebration
You're right.
of
I got pumpkin pie just at the supermarket last year. Maybe I'll do it again this year. Last year I got eggnog as soon as it was on the shelf.
yeah.
'Cause I like it. I don't even put booze in it. I like it on its own. I don't want to ruin it with booze.
Yeah. No, Thanksgiving I take a pass on Thanksgiving. We don't in my house, in my apartment by myself, we don't like to we don't like celebrating things that happened in this country that came at the cost of another human being.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, to take all the fun out of eating turkey, but yeah. We need to change some things in this country, and that's why
Cancel Thanksgiving.
Donald J. Trump is going to solve a lot of these problems.
Oh, no. Uh-oh.
He got to us. What if
Brainwashed.
Trump canceled Halloween because he's just like Halloween, the libs like Halloween, so we have to cancel it.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Not
There's
surprised.
nothing that would surprise me.
Not even thunder.
Oh, see, now it's a little gray outside, so I don't know if that's real.
Yeah,
but
that's
then that
true.
means that you're like a psychic or something.
Oh, who's that behind you, Mark?
You tell me.
I think it's
I'm Barack Obama.
there.
Oh.
That's who it is.
Oh, hey, bud.
All right. Well,
He's wearing
we'll
a tan suit.
we'll leave you with
Controversial.
I agree that immigrants should learn English.
so.
Wow.
Let's. Yeah, there's a lot of surprising things you didn't think he said that he says. You can find it on your own soundboard. But yeah. All right, should we get started?
Let's get started.